This is CBC Here and Now.
We're all trying to be over precautious and as a result, hopefully keep this from getting out of control.
Closures and cancellations in Stephenville as a half dozen COVID-19 cases are detected.
The source is under investigation.
Weather's going to settle down this weekend. Ridge of high pressure moves in, and that means it's going to be a fairly beautiful weekend.
The Premier is set to announce his first budget since winning the election.
These next few years will be tough, but they will not be done in vain.
I'll have more coming up on Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. I'm Carolyn Stokes.
And I'm Anthony Germain. There is growing concern in Stephenville tonight of a possible COVID-19 cluster.
Yes, a chief medical officer for Western Health confirms there are now 6 positive cases in the community and 2 presumptive positive cases, all connected to a man who tested positive yesterday. The source is under investigation as tension grows in the West Coast town. Here and Now's Colleen Connors reports.
These Stephenville cases are connected to 2 schools in the area, Stephenville Primary and Middle School. 6 people tested positive after coming in contact with someone who has COVID-19. 2 others are waiting on lab results to confirm they're presumptive positive. While there was no safety concerns in the schools, classes were suspended today.
We were handling information coming in quickly, and it looked at one particular point where we might have had a number of staff that would have had to wait for testing before returning to work. And so we just reached a point where we thought that for operational reasons, it might be better for us to suspend classes for today, leave children home, get staff in, and then make plans for Monday.
That Monday plan is to reopen. The school board says it works with public health every step of the way when making these decisions. As a precaution, stores, cafe shops, and the town office closed this afternoon. The deputy mayor says it's all connected.
The businesses that I'm aware of that are closed at this point, and certainly the town office as well, we have employees who have young children. And it's very likely that their children are either part of the cohort or close enough to that particular cohort that they, this is being done as a precaution that hopefully will keep community spread from happening.
Fallow says the testing site was very busy in Stephenville today. Western Health wants staff and students at Stephenville Primary to get tested, symptoms or not. The testing is to determine if there is transmission within the school. Fallow says the town is not completely shut down, but some are scared.
It would be foolish of me to think that people aren't nervous, and some people who feel more vulnerable than others, no doubt, are very, very nervous and are wanting everybody to just freeze and stay still until this all goes away. But the reality is we know that that doesn't have to happen. We know that if we're following the masking and washing our hands and keeping our distance, that, those protocols that we've kind of worked within for the last 6-8 months or a year, that we can stay relatively safe.
The positive case from yesterday is still under investigation. Public Health is trying to figure out if it's travel related, but it's still in the early stages. For now, the town office should reopen to the public on Monday. Colleen Connors, CBC News, Stephenville.
Meanwhile, the medical officer of health for the Western region also says it's too early to say whether the community should go into lockdown. Dr. Monica Dutt says all the cases are connected to each other, but it's still early in the investigation.
If it does reach a point where we do feel like there may be other reasons to look at other measures, we'll do so. But at this point, it's very much we're doing our kind of basic public health investigating, and it's been less than 24 hours. So we're just taking that time we need to make sure that we have the best information to inform any decisions that need to happen.
Well, the outbreak in central Newfoundland continues to grow. 10 new cases are connected to that cluster today. Now, the good news is that they're all known contacts of previous cases, but health officials are still keeping an eye on it, and they're asking anybody in the area with symptoms to get tested.
Wouldn't say we're quite beyond being concerned. As you know, it takes up to 14 days for people to develop symptoms or develop infection. So if there was someone there who was exposed, didn't know it, became symptomatic or acquired the infection, that could still happen. So I would say, we've gotten a good circle around the people that we know about. There still is some worry that there might be people we don't know about who may be positive.
Now, still with the pandemic in this province, Newfoundland and Labrador has sent back 1,400 doses of the COVID vaccine. Now, there's nothing wrong with the doses of AstraZeneca, but they're going to expire, so they're all being returned. Here now's Peter Cowan has been looking into why they're going back and what happens with them now. So, Peter, what do we know?
Well, Anthony, just a few months ago, I would never have thought we'd be doing a story about the province sending back a safe and effective vaccine. But Newfoundland and Labrador has stopped using AstraZeneca as a first dose after concerns over rare blood clots. And instead, they're using the growing shipments of Pfizer and Moderna. So there are 26,000 people who received a first dose from AstraZeneca, and it's now been more than 28 days, so they could get their second dose. But Dr. Janice Fitzgerald says the latest research shows better protection by waiting 12 weeks. And by then, these 1,400 doses of vaccine will have expired. Now, there are people who would be happy to get a second shot now and get their full vaccination earlier, and that's what other provinces like Ontario have done. But instead, Newfoundland and Labrador has shipped those doses back to the federal government. The hope is that they'll be used by other provinces. The head of the National Vaccine Logistics says they'll do their best, but since these doses expire on Monday, there's no guarantee.
We're working across jurisdictions right now to ensure that as many of those doses as absolutely possible can be used to vaccinate Canadians, particularly in those jurisdictions that are moving forward with their second dose AstraZeneca administration plans. And should we arrive at expiry dates, then remaining doses will be disposed of in accordance with public health best practices.
Now, the province is expecting more shipments of AstraZeneca by the time that 12 weeks is up, and they're waiting on research about whether they can mix and match and use Pfizer or Moderna as the second shot instead.
Right now, Peter, when you look at the pace of vaccinations, how is this province doing overall?
Yeah, Anthony, I crunched some of the numbers today because actually compared to other provinces, our vaccines are spending more time sitting in freezers. So right now there are 72,000 doses that have been shipped by the federal government but haven't yet been used in Newfoundland and Labrador. Now, we're vaccinating at an average of 4,400 doses a day. So even without any additional shipments, what we have in storage would take 16 days to use that up. So let's take a look how we compare. Out of the other provinces, Newfoundland and Labrador is the slowest. We've used 81.4% of the doses. That's lower than the Canadian average. That's almost 87%. The best province is Quebec, which has used 90% of their doses. Only Nunavut has used less of its vaccine. So why is it taking longer for our doses to get into people's arms? Well, the Department of Health and Community Service hasn't provided me a response to the request I put in this afternoon when I presented them with these numbers, but in the past the health minister has said our only limitation is the number of doses we're receiving. We can administer them, but it may take a little bit longer because of our geography. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Peter Cowan for Here and Now.
Today was a little bit of a different story depending on where you were across the province. We saw some snow again through parts of Labrador as well as the west coast thanks to this area of low pressure bringing some of that colder air in. But if I zoom in, you can see plenty of sunshine in eastern areas of the island through central. We did see some cloud cover earlier today, but it has been fairly quiet weather-wise. Temperatures much cooler than what we saw yesterday as well, anywhere from 7 to 12 degrees or 13 degrees across the island, and then 2 to 8 for Labrador. Now, taking a look at the winds today, it has been breezy, and these winds are going to stick around through most of the day tomorrow. We'll see gusts anywhere from 40 to 60 kilometers per hour, but the good news is as we head into Sunday, those winds will die down and the weather is going to improve as well. I'll get into all the details when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, Monday is a major day for government. It's delivering the 2021-22 provincial budget. It'll be a first for Premier Andrew Furey since securing a House majority and receiving Moya Green's recommendations for economic recovery. For a province billions of dollars in debt, many are bracing for what's to come. Here and Now's Mark Quinn reports.
The Premier says Monday's provincial budget will set the stage for years to come. A 5 or 6 year project to steer the province away from financial disaster.
These next few years will be tough, but they will not be done in vain.
Speaking at a federal funding announcement for affordable housing earlier today, the Premier said Monday's budget will begin to fix our dire fiscal situation. The province has a net debt of more than $14 billion and a gross debt of more than $47 billion. We're spending much more than we're bringing in. It's not a problem the Premier says can be repaired in one budget.
So if anyone at home is expecting that this will be fixed on Monday, I'd like to reset your expectations right now. We will be setting out signals about the direction that we're going and the strategies that we will be taking, and they will be one with balance and measure.
Now, Andrew Furey says sometimes you have to cut off a leg to save a patient.
But Furey wants to reassure the public, saying the dramatic cuts forecasted by the Progressive Conservatives in the last election, well, those aren't coming.
The cure can't be worse than the disease, and that's our job, and it's Minister Abbott's job, my job, to ensure that that measure of action does not inflict undue harm, but is a measure that's appropriate and prudent to reset a responsible direction given the fiscal realities of the province.
It's still unclear exactly how the province will tackle its growing debt or prevent power rates from doubling. But Premier Furey says one thing's for certain. No matter what's announced here on Monday, he'll face criticism on Tuesday. Mark Quinn, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, as Mark mentioned, social housing units in the province have gotten a boost from the federal and provincial governments. Minister Ahmed Hussein announced the funding virtually at a press conference in St. John's today. A total of $18.5 million will help repair housing units. $1.5 million of that will go towards new units on Froude Avenue in St. John's. Units there were destroyed by fire in 2017. Premier Furey said the investment will help families create homes in challenging times.
We have to make sure that as we emerge from this pandemic, as we plan to have a strong economic recovery, that economic recovery includes everyone and that no one is left behind.
You know, despite the economic and fiscal challenges that our province faces, this is safe and affordable housing. That's key.
Well, you may soon have to shell out more for your favorite spirits. Next week, the NLC's annual price adjustment comes into effect, and prices for some products are going up. It all starts on Monday. The NLC says the increase was its decision and not directly tied to the upcoming budget. On average, customers can expect to see about a 1% increase across the board. The price hike is based on new quotes from suppliers, market conditions, inflation, and transportation costs. So how will it all shake out? Well, beer drinkers will see a jump. A dozen Black Horse will cost $28.49. That's up 51 cents. A 750 milliliter bottle of Lamb's Palm Breeze rum will ring in at $30.99. That's another 51-cent increase. Wine will see the biggest jump, with the average bottle going up 1.25%. Pre-mixed beverages are also on the rise. A six-pack of White Claw is being bumped up by 21 cents.
Well, in national news, Liberal MP William Amos is temporarily stepping away from his parliamentary secretary and committee duties to seek help after exposing himself to trouble because of a webcam. Amos says in a statement posted to Twitter that while taking part in a virtual session of the House of Commons on Wednesday, he was caught urinating while on camera. Amos says it was accidental and could not be viewed by the public, and he calls the whole incident, quote, completely unacceptable. Amos made headlines around the world last month after he appeared naked on an internal parliamentary feed of Question Period. Now, in that case, Amos said he was changing his clothes after a jog and didn't realize that his laptop camera was turned on. Bloc Québécois MP Sébastien Lemire later apologized for taking a screenshot of the naked member of Parliament. Back here at home, the recreational cod fishery will be going ahead this summer following the same rules as last year. The fishery will run for a total of 39 days with no licenses or tags required. The fishery will run on weekends throughout summer, open on Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays, and you'll be allowed 5 ground fish per day up to a maximum boatload of 15 fish if there are more than 3 people on board. Now, it all starts on July 3rd. Can't wait. And it runs until September 6th. A week-long fall recreational fishery will run once again from September 25th to Sunday, October 3rd in the fall.
A gorgeous evening out there as we look out to the Narrows. The weekend is looking pretty beautiful as well for most of the province, but I'll get into all the beautiful details when I come back.
This weather update is brought to you by Newfoundland and Labrador Tourism. It's time to explore the great wide open. Plan your trip at yourbackyardbeckons.ca.
Time for a look at the weather, and Ashley, the weekend is here.
It certainly is. It is a gorgeous day on the Avalon today, parts of the island as well, but it was a different story elsewhere. While most of us are looking forward to summer, people in Labrador City woke up to a winter wonderland. Snow fell overnight, blanketing the area, covering grassy lawns and roads.
Yes, my goodness, just look at that. What a difference. Definitely a gentle reminder from Mother Nature that even though winter is technically behind us, she can always throw us a curveball.
Yeah, or in this case, a snowball.
Wow.
certainly looks like there's enough there to pick up for sure. Temperatures today, chilly, only reaching a high near 2 degrees this afternoon in Lab City. Temperatures for northern Labrador as well, seeing anywhere from 2 to 3 degrees. Everywhere else, we saw those temperatures bump up, but on the west coast, we did see a few flurries in those higher elevations earlier, as I mentioned yesterday. But temperatures for the rest of the island, beautiful. 13 degrees in Terra Nova and 11 in St. John's this afternoon. Temperatures still sitting there within a degree or two. Going to see these temperatures dip as we head through the overnight tonight, but not a whole lot on the go. Seeing clear skies in the east for most of us, some cloud cover in and around central, and then same thing for northern portions of Labrador as well, where we're seeing some snow. Now that risk of snow or flurries in the mix will continue as we head through the overnight for most of the Big Land towards central Labrador, as well as southeastern portions as we head towards midnight. Most of the island should stay clear as we head through the overnight tonight, but that risk of some showers or flurries in those higher elevations for the northern peninsula, you may get clipped by that as we head through the overnight tonight. Temperatures 3 to 4 degrees across the island. Winds are going to stay breezy tonight, though, out of the west. Anywhere from 30 gusting upwards of 60 kilometers per hour on the west coast, and then 30 to 50 elsewhere for the island. And those winds are going to stay pretty breezy through most of the night or most of the day tomorrow as well. And then for Labrador, -2 for Lab City, so you'll sit below 0 tonight. Your winds will be out of the northwest, about 30 to 50. And then the rest of the Big Land, you're going to see some showers and or flurries through the overnight, and temperatures between 1 to 3 degrees as you head towards the coast. As far as tomorrow goes, that area of low pressure is going to move off and a ridge of high pressure is going to move in, and that's going to clear things out quite nicely. So for the first half of the day, you're still going to see that chance of some showers or flurries for southeastern Labrador as well as the northern peninsula, and then things should clear out beautifully. We may see a few cloudy periods across Labrador, also the chance of a few isolated showers. That may be the story as well through central and eastern Newfoundland, but overall it will be a pretty lovely day tomorrow, and those temperatures are going to bump up as well. So we're looking at temperatures anywhere from 11 to 13 degrees, a little cooler for Placentia, around 9 degrees. Those winds will be breezy in the morning, and then we're going to see the winds eventually ease as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. And then towards central, keeping that potential, didn't put it in the icon, but there is the chance we could see some pop-up showers and a few cloudy periods, but overall it'll be a fairly nice day. Anywhere from 12 to 14 degrees, even the south coast seeing some pretty nice temperatures as we head towards the southwest. Port aux Basques around 10 degrees. And again, your winds out of the northwest in the morning, and then you'll see them ease through the afternoon. Back up to the teens tomorrow for Corner Brook, or rather the double digits for Corner Brook, 11 degrees, 13 through Humber Valley. Bayvert, you'll see that temperature around 12 degrees tomorrow. And then for the northern peninsula, similar forecast. Towards the coast, your temperatures will be a little bit cooler, though, into the single digits, really anywhere along the coast. You'll see those single-digit temperatures. The winds will be breezy in the morning for the southeastern portion of Labrador, winds gusting upwards of 70, and then into the afternoon, you can expect winds gusting anywhere from 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. Similar story for Labrador, back up to 10 degrees for Happy Valley Goose Bay, keeping that potential for a slight chance of a few showers. This flurry shower activity for Lab City will be in the morning, and then the afternoon should clear out fairly nicely. Northwesterlies anywhere from 20 to 30 kilometers per hour, and then nothing but sunshine for Nain, and your high near 7 degrees. Now the temperatures are going to warm up as we head towards Sunday, and then into Monday and Tuesday. It looks like things are going to start to get unsettled, but I'll get into all those details when I come back.
Excitement is building for salmon anglers as the season opens next week, and my next guest is keen about that, but he's also concerned about wild salmon. Ashton Goodyear is a grade 9 student at St. Paul's Intermediate in Gander. So Ashton, tell me, what is it that you're worried about?
I'm worried about the salmon stocks declining and not being there for the future generations.
Is there something in particular that makes you worry about the future of the fish?
Yes, there is. The open pen fish farms that the government are planning on putting into the Placentia Bay area.
Okay, so you have some concerns about aquaculture. What are those concerns?
My concerns is the fish from the farms getting out and basically crossbreeding with the wild salmon stocks, so interbreeding. And this could potentially pass on genes that are insufficient to the species, and this could potentially cause mutations in salmon that could be for the worse.
Okay, now correct me if I'm wrong, but those threads behind you, you do your own fly tying? Is that what that is? Because you seem to have more thread than my grandmother behind you there.
Yeah, I do actually. I do a lot of fly tying.
All right, so obviously you're a very keen angler. Are you worried about this because it means fewer fish for anglers, or is it the overall environmental concern?
Well, both really, but more so environmental concern, because you don't want another species going extinct.
Now, you decided to do something about this. You started a petition. What's it about, and how did you go about promoting it?
Well, the petition is about the option that the government is making to put in these salmon farms, as I said earlier, and basically, I just want them to provide a better solution to sea-based pens, so they could potentially go land-based. And like I said in the petition there, other countries or other provinces and stuff like BC, they're all converting to land-based.
Your plan was to send this to the minister responsible, Minister Bragg, correct?
That is right.
All right, and how's the petition doing so far?
It's just recently surpassed 3,500 signatures.
Okay. How did you get so many?
With a lot of help from the community.
All right, now I want to ask you one challenging question, Ashton. You're a smart fellow. As you know, there are many places in rural Newfoundland that don't have a lot of jobs. Unemployment's a problem. Don't you think the environmental risk is worth the benefits of hundreds of needed, well-paying jobs? Because the industry says, the science is there, the risk is minimal. What about the unemployment rate?
Well, the unemployment rate could be still fixed even if they go land-based, because you're still going to have the same amount of jobs, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. But, the industry says that it's very expensive to go land-based. It sounds to me that you just don't want to see these pens out in the water at all.
That's right.
All right, well, listen, Ashton, we'll stay in touch and appreciate your time this evening. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Anthony.
Now, we asked the Newfoundland Aquaculture Industry Association for a comment about Ashton's petition, and in a statement, it says there are some incorrect assertions in the petition, and a spokesman hopes to meet with Ashton next week to listen to his concerns. In particular, the association says, quote, there's multi-year, multi-million-dollar research that has demonstrated that salmon farms pose minimal risk to wild salmon. But Executive Director Mark Lane also challenges both the number of signatories of Ashton's petition, as well as whether they are from Newfoundland and Labrador or, quote, from outside interests.
Makes me a little nervous that we're going to end up losing again to someone big like Hydro-Quebec.
Yeah, I see all kinds of opportunities to reopen contracts.
We need to be looking at actual clean renewable energy like solar and wind.
Labrador plays a huge role in the fiscal future of the whole province. What do some people in the big land think about the big reset? That's coming up. Well, the provincial budget is coming Monday, but the Green Report has already given us plenty to digest when it comes to the province's fiscal crisis. Let's have a look at some of Moya Green's recommendations from a Labrador perspective tonight. Joining me now are Jody Ashini, who is a cultural guardian with the Innu Nation. Amy Norman is a member of the Labrador Land Protectors and a former NDP candidate. And Peter Woodward is president and CEO of the Woodward Group of companies. So we'll focus on two areas tonight, a potential money maker and a possible money saver outlined in the report. Now, the Green Report says the province can make money from the Churchill River. The report recommends bundling the Upper Churchill contract, Muskrat and Gull Island together, and then shop around for federal government and private sector partners. Jody Ashini, let's begin with you. What do you think about that idea?
It makes me a little nervous. We all know that the past tends to repeat itself, so it makes me a little nervous that we're going to end up losing again to someone big like Hydro-Quebec, and rather than actually saving and gaining, we're going to lose again and be in another deficit for a long time.
And what about the suggestion that Gull Island be part of that? It hasn't been developed yet. What do you make of that?
I just don't understand how they're going to afford to do Gull Island. They just lost millions, multi-millions in muskrat. I just don't understand where the money's going to come from other than selling it. So it's just a scary process for us Labradorians that we don't benefit from muskrat as it is. So I don't know how it's going to work.
The prospect of highlighting Labrador as the resource that it's always been, and hydroelectricity as we move to net zero in 2050 and big reductions by 2030, I see all kinds of opportunities to reopen contracts and renegotiate, and hopefully we won't make the mistakes of the past, and we'll start using the energy that's in Labrador that is truly green energy, and start doing things with it that are going to create benefits for people in the province.
And Amy Norman, talking about green energy, you know, the federal and provincial governments have been touting the clean, green energy of Muskrat Falls right from the start. What's your perspective on further development of hydro?
I'm completely against it. I truly believe that mega hydro, as we know it and as we have been doing it, is not actually green. What you see is greenwashing. It's trying to portray these projects as cleaner than they are. The reality is, it's really harmful to the environment. It wipes out massive areas for the reservoirs, that destroys forests, which are carbon sinks. The reservoirs itself release a lot of methane. We need to be looking at actual clean renewable energy like solar and wind. We have a large capacity here for wind. We know how windy this province is. I think that's the direction we need to take. I do not think hydro is the answer. I think it would be a phenomenal mistake to go down that path.
Okay, and let's move on to the next topic now, the possible money saver. The Green Report suggests the province's 4 regional health authorities be amalgamated into one. It says that will save on administrative costs. About $193 million is spent on health authority administration per year, and that's about 8% of the province's total health budget. So, Jody Ashini, let's go back to you. How do you think whittling down the health authorities into one could affect healthcare in Labrador?
I don't know if they had enough people from Northern Labrador to make a proper decision on this. They didn't include any Innu people, any Indigenous people for talking to them, interviewing them about the healthcare in Labrador. Maybe if they amalgamated the 3 on Newfoundland and kept Labrador, it would be different. But because Labradors were isolated, we've had a lot of people that have been misdiagnosed. We don't have a specialist. We have to travel to the island for any health care. I don't think putting Labrador into the lump with Newfoundland is going to do any good for any Labradorians.
And Peter Woodward, do you think there's room to streamline administration to that extent?
I don't question that amalgamation will bring some savings when it comes to streamlining and reduction of administration expenses. You know, we as a province have to look at a bigger shift in that. I was heartened with the CEO Diamond's remarks about change the way we actually deliver healthcare, looking at modern technology for delivering virtual healthcare. You know, the model that we have, and I'll go back to Sister Elizabeth and Dr. Palfrey's report, talks about a model that was built back in the 60s and 70s. And we really need to look at modern technology. I think COVID's taught us a lot about doing things by distance. And I think we need to get better outcomes with the money that we're spending. I think large institutional hospitals and that are away from communities are probably a thing of the past. We need to get closer to the client and deliver healthcare in a more modern way that focuses on the client, not focuses on the facilities, focuses on outputs, not inputs.
And Amy Norman, let's go back to you. The province is in a desperate financial situation and savings have to come from somewhere. Do you think that healthcare administration like that is the right target? And if not, what is?
I'm not convinced that it's the right target. You know, healthcare, especially up here in Labrador, is really suffering. You know, it's basically impossible to get any kind of basic appointment. It's impossible to have any continuity of care. It's a really dire situation. And I don't see how cutting healthcare by this scale is going to help anyone. There's other venues, there's other ways I think that you can really increase revenue and that sort of thing. And I will give a plug to the People's Recovery. Their report gave a lot of really cool alternatives and different ways to think about these kind of like large scale questions. Because I don't think austerity is the answer. I don't think cutting our healthcare services when they're already like so bare bones, it's really not going to help people. It's not going to help Labradorians, and people will suffer.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the budget on Monday. I'm sure we'll all be watching. Amy Norman, Peter Woodward, and Jody Ashini, thank you so much for your perspectives on this. reaction following a shocking and heartbreaking discovery at a former residential school in BC. The remains of 215 children, some as young as 3, have been found buried on a site near Kamloops.
Today, our community mourns along those who suffered this terrible loss and alongside all survivors of the horrific residential school system who are undoubtedly forced to remember their trauma upon hearing the news. There's nothing more painful in life than losing a child. My heart breaks today thinking of all the loving parents who never saw their children return home and who were never granted the dignity of knowing what happened.
A moment of silence was observed in the House of Commons today. The regional First Nation chief says the discovery was confirmed last weekend by a ground-penetrating radar specialist. It's believed that these deaths have not been documented. The First Nation is working with the BC Coroner Service and museums to look for records. The National Indian Residential School Crisis Line is available for those looking for support. It's a 24-hour service. The number to call is there on your screen. A First Nations man in Fort McMurray is working to help band members get access to justice. It's for those who want to hold their chief and council accountable. And as CBC's Jamie Malbuff reports, the volunteering has turned into a full-time job.
Remind you about it? Okay, I will get on that when I get back.
Rob Louie gets about 100 emails and phone calls every day from people across the country looking for help fighting their chief and council.
And I noticed that when a band member was experiencing either financial abuse or some sort of internal oppression, they had nowhere to turn. There is no other organization in Canada like BMAC.
The Band Members Alliance and Advocacy Association of Canada has taken on about 15 cases. Louis screens all the calls, finds the winnable cases, and pairs off the complainant with a lawyer. Right now there are 5 lawyers working with BMAC, either pro bono or at a significantly reduced rate.
We as a legal community, we need to stand up for those that are vulnerable, and we really need to draw a line much further ahead to protect individuals' rights, and it's hard to think of a more vulnerable community in Canada.
Oh, I thought it was great, and I thought I sure hope this guy has a lot of time because he's going to be busy.
And he is. Louis has spent more than 300 hours in the last 6 months working on this cause, all volunteer. He does it to help others and himself. He started as part of his recovery from addiction.
And I do this because part of my recovery is about giving back, because I too had help to make a comeback, and I'm quite proud to lend a hand now to those that need it.
Jamie Malbuff, CBC News, Fort McMurray.
Well, reopening plans for a post-pandemic world continue to be announced. Nova Scotia became the most recent province to unveil a roadmap of sorts. It all gets underway on June the 2nd.
You know, I think the real positive in all of this is that people are finally seeing a roadmap, and we're all seeing what we're all working together for. So it's good to see this positive plan and how we are going to reopen. And hopefully there's some motivation here for people to get vaccinated, and for those who are vaccinated to stay the course and get a second dose.
Now, Canada's top doctor is also encouraged by what she sees. Theresa Tam says we're over the peak of the third wave nationally, and that average case counts are half what they were just over a month ago. She says Canadians are headed to a much better summer as long as we stay the course. Well, now to other news. An Ontario woman made a discovery recently that pulled at her heartstrings. Buried in an unopened box in her basement were dozens of love letters, and she made it her mission to return those notes to the rightful family. The CBC's Katerina Georgieva has the story.
Morris and Betty Starkman, Detroit newlyweds in 1953. But before long, Morris, a doctor, sent to the front lines of a painful Korean War. They exchanged letters across the sea, and decades later, somehow they ended up in Kingsville.
So I'm kind of a hoarder.
Angela Thompson bought a box of old magazines nearly 8 years ago from an auction. She dug it out this year.
There was this really cool, beautiful tin at the bottom, and I love old tins, and it was like really pretty with roses, and I was like, well, there's something in here. You know, me thinking that it's just like postcard, like, or just whatever. And I opened it up and I saw the letters and I was like,
Thompson's own grandparents were war vets. She knew she needed to find the family. She found obituaries, leading her to their granddaughter.
We were really so over the moon and really excited.
It was remarkable that they were found after all of these years.
Starkman remembers his parents as wonderful, genuine people. His dad, born in Toronto, relocated to Detroit where he found Betty, a social worker. Married on Christmas Day, 1952. Weeks later, Morris sent to war.
My father's in a war zone where there was a tremendous amount of death. He saw horrible, horrible things.
The letters mailed back to the Starkmans, sparking a childhood memory of seeing the letters before.
My dad was coming downstairs. I don't exactly remember why, but he became really, really incensed. I was looking at the letters. I didn't read them. I didn't open any of them. And he said, those are private between your mom and me, and I don't want you reading them.
Decades later, Robert respects that wish.
Eventually, I would like the original letters to be buried with me, since I'm going to be buried with my parents.
He's not reading them, but I definitely am. I'm so excited to read them.
With Dad's blessing.
It's so clear from these letters, how much they cared about each other.
Her grandmother would be proud. Betty was a genealogist tracking the diaspora of Jews around the world.
And that's, again, why this is the craziest story, is that my grandmother's life was dedicated to this kind of thing.
As for how the letters ended up in Kingsville, Robert assumes it happened during the sale of his mother's house in 2013. But what matters most, where they are now.
I'm glad the letters are back where they belong.
And he's grateful to Thompson for making that happen. Katerina Georgieva, CBC News, Windsor.
Time for birthdays and anniversaries. Wishing Roland and Evelyn Fizzard in Grand Falls, Windsor a happy 60th anniversary. Happy 64th anniversary to Adrian and Bernadette Power in Chapel Arm. Sam and Irene Holwell in Cartwright are celebrating their 58th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary to Lorna and Earl Cull in Lawrencetown, who are celebrating 60 years of marriage. And it's a golden anniversary for Bill and Bernadette Stoyles. Wishing John and Linda Keeping of Burnt Islands a happy 56th anniversary.
Congratulations to Jack and Bernadette Duggan. They're celebrating their 60th anniversary. Happy 60th anniversary also to Lloyd and Hilda Hillier of Fortune. Another 60th anniversary to celebrate. Congratulations to James and Elizabeth Hearn of Petty Harbor, Maddox Cove. Happy 51st wedding anniversary to Yvonne and Arthur Late of Rogers Cove, Gander Bay. Happy 60th wedding anniversary to Ray and Ivy Clark of 80town.
Best wishes to Eric and Gloria Bishop on their 55th anniversary. They're from Gander, now living in St. John's. Happy 54th wedding anniversary to Walter and Eileen Ledrew in Traytown, Bonavista Bay. Congratulations to Larry and Ella Philpott on their 55th anniversary. All right, now to some birthdays. Happy 92nd birthday to Jim Dix from Harbour Buffett, now living in Harbour Grace. Happy 95th birthday to Frances Hurley in Badger.
Happy 98th birthday to Joan Bradley, who still lives in her own home in Eastport. Best wishes to Florence Blunden in Clarenville. She's celebrating her 91st birthday. Birthday greetings for Charlie Gale from Pollard's Point. He's celebrating his 91st. Wishing Mabel Ledrew of St. John's a happy 92nd birthday. Happy 92nd birthday tomorrow to Ronald Clark from Chance Cove, now living in St. John's.
And wishing George Jarrett a very happy 90th birthday. He's from Brigus, now lives in St. John's. Happy 90th birthday to Christine Tobin, also in St. John's. And happy 92nd birthday to Ralph Roberts from Brigus, now living in CBS. Happy 91st birthday to Gordon French in Harbour Grace. Happy birthday to a very spry 90-year-old Alice Kavanaugh, who still lives in her home in Calvert. Happy birthday to Alonzo Ivany, he's also turning 90. And birthday wishes to Bernadette Kenny of Port Kerwin, now living in Witless Bay, she's turning 94.
Wishing Gus Etchegary a very happy 97th birthday and a milestone birthday for Susie Knoll from Carbonear. She turned 100 yesterday. Another fine crowd. Congratulations once again. And Ashley, it looks like tomorrow's going to be nice for most of us. I'm excited to hear what Sunday has in store.
It should be pretty nice as well, although there is an area of low pressure that's going to move in, so we'll see what happens with that. But let's take a look at the future tracker just to spell that out for you. We've got that ridge of high pressure in place. Now by Sunday morning we could be seeing some cloud cover, but we're more than likely going to see clearing as we head through the day. And then into Monday, Sunday night into Monday is more than likely when we're going to see that next area of low pressure move in, and that's going to bring in some cloud cover through the day on Monday and also the chance of some showers, and that will work its way across the province as we head through the afternoon and then continue to be unsettled as we head into Tuesday as well. That will be the story at least through the first half of Monday, and then we should actually see some clearing skies through the day. So temperatures on Sunday, this is what I have right now. Temperatures reaching the teens. The winds will be a lot less, it'll be a lot less windy as well on Sunday. Temperature I have around 18 degrees for most of Labrador, 10 for Nain, so reaching the double digits, and then it looks like the central areas of Labrador, or of the island rather, could reach the 20-degree mark as well. So looking like a pretty lovely Sunday. As we head into Monday though, those temperatures should stay fairly mild, anywhere from 16 to 18 degrees. And then for the southern portion of the island, we're looking at about 12 degrees for Marystown, 8 for Port aux Basques. And again, that's when you're going to see that rain move in. Keeping that sunshine for northern Labrador at 13 degrees for Nain, and then 18 again for Happy Valley Goose Bay through the day on Monday. After that, looking like those temperatures are going to stay in the teens right as we get into midweek next week. Overnight lows into the double digits as well, but it does look unsettled through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday with that chance of showers. For central Newfoundland, same thing, reaching back into the 20s by midweek next week, with some cloudy periods expected on Wednesday, but Monday and Tuesday looking a little bit unsettled. Keeping skies gray for you in western Newfoundland on Monday, although by Wednesday looking at a mix of sun and cloud again, 19 degrees it looks like as your daytime highs. And then for eastern Labrador, 18 to 20 degrees as we head into next week. A little bit unsettled both Monday and Tuesday, but Wednesday looks lovely with some sunshine. And then for Lab West, it's going to stay gray, it looks like, by the time we get to Wednesday, 15 degrees. So your temperatures will be in the teens as we head into next week. I wanted to share this photo early morning in Bain Harbour on the Burin Peninsula. Thank you to Pauline for that. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
And you saw earlier on the show, pretty soon, although July seems a ways off, it's great to actually see the dates for the fall fishery because it actually tells you the summer is actually coming.
I can't wait for that to open. I'm excited.
Before we finish up tonight, I have to make a correction.
Uh-oh.
Yes, the birthdays. Alonzo Ivany turned 92, not 90. So we had that wrong. Sorry about that, Roger. I just saw your email. So happy 92nd birthday, Alonzo Ivany.
It's 2 years.
Yep.
Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Yeah. Also, other than the food fishery, salmon season opens next Tuesday. We'll have some coverage about that. New rules and regulations, of course, and stories about the species coming up in future weeks.
I'm sure you're pretty excited.
Getting there.
Getting there.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.
Good night.